Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and coming right back at you with another special edition from Smashville, Tennessee. I have a guest of honor. He is a local to Nashville. He is the National Director of Coaching for a top 10 lender in America. I'm talking Movement Mortgage, and I'm talking with Tim Davis. Tim, welcome to the Loan Officer Podcast.
Hey, what's up? This is exciting to be here.
This is super exciting. So you have been on my short list of people that I wanted to have on the show since John and I launched this about 22 months ago. You probably didn't know that.
No, we need to raise your expectations in life.
You were today years old when you found that out. No, I remember sitting back. I'm like, who would be great guests when John and I were kicking this thing off in early 2020? And I was like, you know what? There's this guy, Dave Savage. There's this guy, Barry Habib. There's this guy, Rene Rodriguez. There's this guy, Tim Davis. Like, all four of those dudes, I know them, and they would do a really good job. And they're kind of stewards of our industry. Well, I've been very fortunate that I was able to sit down with Dave when I was in San Diego, and I sat down with Barry when he was in Orlando. Renee and I are still playing phone tag. We think we're going to be in the same city in March, so maybe Renee and I will be able to get together. But when I knew I was coming to Nashville, I was like, well, I got to hit Tim up. I got to hit Tim up because he lives in Nashville. Maybe I can convince him to come spend an hour with me and our guest talking shop.
Well, heck yeah, man. We're right across the street from Smashville itself, too, right?
Yeah,
I know this area real well.
That you do. Yeah, you are. Are you a season ticket holder?
We are
for the
season.
Predators?
Yes, we are.
How about the Titans?
No.
No. Oh, sorry, you're a Cowboys fan.
I'm a Cowboys fan, but
okay.
But second to that, they play their games outside. I'm an indoor pet, right? Oh. So I like climate-controlled situations. You know, I'm not going to sit out there 30 degrees this Saturday for the Bengals. You know, no. That ain't going to happen. See, Jerry World, he's got that climate control down there.
Yes, that is a very nice stadium.
Yeah, it's a very nice stadium.
So National Director of Coaching for Movement Mortgage.
Yeah.
I bet you have a lot of knowledge that you can drop, a lot that we can unpack in the next, whatever it's going to be, 35, 45, 50 minutes. However long you and I want to do this, we'll do this.
Yeah, man.
But before we get started, I want people to understand, who is Tim Davis? When did you enter into the mortgage business? Because you're a coach today, and you coach coaches and you coach loan officers, but you weren't always a coach. You were an originator, correct?
Yeah, and before that, I was an at-risk kid from the housing projects.
Get out of town.
No, seriously, yeah. I mean, my dad, when I was 3 years old, my dad passed away. My mom, she had a drug problem, but it wasn't like buying drugs on the corner. She was getting her drugs from a guy with a stethoscope and a white jacket.
Okay.
And so, you know, if I get a headache, you try to put a Tylenol down my throat, and we're gonna fight about it. So I watched her, struggle with that addiction. It was pretty bad, and we had more month than money, and. But 17 years old is how old I was when I graduated high school, and I had to make a choice in my life at that time, and it was either go work at the grocery store more and maybe get a job at the tire factory, or leave that town and find out what else is outside that town.
Okay.
And so I just said, you know what, I'm take a risk. Some of my buddies were going to college, so I just went up to college with them. I had no idea what I was going to study. I selected graphic arts because I thought, how you don't have to go to the library a lot if you're an art major. So I was trying to be proactive in my thought process. And then you fast forward after college, I moved down here to Nashville, and I was working at a finance company, Dustin. This is a good story. So I was working at a finance company. We were loaning money at 24% interest and taking your couch as collateral.
Wow.
And so my first date with my wife now of 25 years, I took her on a collection call. And so she's like, where are we going? I'm like, well, we're going to dinner, fancy like Applebee's. Yeah. But we were going to go to dinner, but I had to collect on this guy. He owed me some money. And so I knocked on the door, I was like, right. And it was a tough part of town, but we were kind of used to running that in the business. And he came to the door, and he kind of did like this right here. And he had a Glock sitting there on his hip. And he's like, what do you need? And I was like, nothing, man. I just wanted to let you know how great a customer you were for I hope if you need to borrow more money, come back anytime. And I left, and I was like, holy cow, I got to find a different career path. But a few years later, a buddy of mine got into mortgages, and he called me one day. He's like, dude, you're not going to believe this. I'm selling mortgage loans, and I'm making all this money. And he told me on the phone what he was earning, and I don't even think I hung up the phone. I was the branch manager of a finance company out on West Nashville, and I left my customer service reps there by themselves. I didn't hang up the phone. I left the business. I said, I'll see y'all later. I'm going to go take a job in the mortgage business. And that's how I got
done.
In.
You're done.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. Growing up very humbly like you did, right, in the housing projects, money was something you weren't accustomed to. So I would only imagine if you worked so hard to get yourself out of that situation that anything you did, you were going to control your own destiny. You were going to make as much money as was humanly possible.
Well, certainly. I mean, listen, I was making $23,000 a year as the branch manager of this finance company. Again, I didn't know I was putting my life on the line, but people will protect their couch at all costs. I learned that, man. They ain't giving up that couch, And so that's just not a good business. And so when he told me about it, I was like, this is life changing, right? Not only just for yourself personally, but it's generationally changing. And it also allows you to sow into other people as well, right? So if I'm at church and they want to plant a church down somewhere in some country or whatever, and they're like, hey, we're going to take donations for it. If you're in this business and you do well, you might just be able to write a check for that donation. Like, here you go plant that church. So I think there's just a lot of things you can do, and this business affords you that.
So the money attracted you, but then you stayed.
Yeah.
Right? Because the money's attractive, but then you get into this industry, you're like, man, this sucks.
Right.
Like, I don't like this.
Right. No, it's addictive, man.
So, yeah, for you, at what point in your career did you realize, not only is the money enticing, but I like this, and maybe I'm good at it?
That's a good question. I don't know if I can pinpoint a time because I'm really driven by like solving Rubik's Cubes kind of talk, So if I feel like I've solved a part of the game, I can get bored with that, right? So I need a new challenge. And so for me, it was the entrepreneurial spirit and the ability to kind of constantly create your own challenges for the business, right? So, for a long time, it was like, how do you get real estate agents to even talk to you and give you the time of day, much less actually trust you with their clients? So that was the challenge. You had to overcome that. And then I entered a part of my career where we were actually opening companies. It's like, well, gosh, how do you actually open a company and hire people and deal with it? That was a challenge, right? So, but I think at the end of the day, it all was encapsulated in this one thing for me. When I was growing up, I had friends and they had, families and houses and their own bedrooms and stuff like that. I slept in the living room of the 600 square feet place we lived, right? So the living room and the bedroom and all that was kind of combined. And I remember growing up and I would go to my friends' houses and stuff, and I'm like, man, you got your own room and this is really nice. So to me, at the end of the day, that we don't know how deeply it impacts somebody when you finance a house for them. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yep. They may tell you they're excited and all this kind of stuff, but you really don't know how deeply that impacts them or that child or those children in that house, because now they have their own room and they start to form relationships in the neighborhood and things like that. So I think, keeping that on my mind as well, that, you're really making an impact.
Yeah. What advice would you have for someone who is entering the mortgage business? I mean, you've been at the game now for going on, 25 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. So going on a quarter century.
That sounds a lot better. Thanks. I appreciate it.
You have an opportunity.
Get a glass of water here.
Yeah. You have an opportunity to talk to someone who's like, hey, Tim, I want to be the next you. I want to come into this industry. I want to be an originator. I want to maybe one day become a coach. Like, what advice are you giving younger people who maybe they're younger in their career, not necessarily younger in life, right? We have a lot of people who transition. They do one career for 20 years and then transition into mortgages. Mm-hmm. Or you could be talking to someone who's fresh out of college, who wants to enter the mortgage industry. Based on your experiences, what advice are you giving them these days?
Look, it ain't easy. So you better have a competitive spirit about you. I don't know how else to describe it other than you've got to be competitive. You've got to get up every day knowing that you're broke, and you've got to go out there and make it happen that day. You got to go earn your paycheck that day, and you got to do that through building of a relationship. So I think you have to be competitive in one part of it, right?
Okay.
Otherwise, somebody else in town that is competitive is going to take that deal right off your table, and you're never going to know about it. So you got to be competitive. Number two, I think you've got to really hone in on your relationship skills. Like you got to be a great builder of relationships and a connector with people. Like you've got to have a high likability factor in any sales. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I remember a guy came to me one time. He's like, hey, Tim, I want to hire you as my coach. And I was like, I don't think so. And he said, well, why not? And he goes, I really want to learn this business. I said, because nobody likes you. I can't fix that. I can't make you likable. I don't know. What do you want me to tell you? Like, nobody likes you. And so you have to be likable and connect with people. And so I think those are the two things, being competitive and being a great relationship builder, right? And then the other part about it, which I think a lot of people overlook, is that you have to be kind of right brain and left brain. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be
Yes.
creative enough to get your foot in the door and build a relationship with somebody, but then you also got to be scientific enough, I guess is a word, to break down like what program does this loan fit into, and how do I structure this in such a way that we're going to get the deal
Well,
done.
and it's interesting you bring that up because it reminds me of a story that I've told to try to correlate like what it takes to be successful and the kind of quirkiness. Because in life, usually when you're doing like personality traits or personality pairing, you find, oh, this person's either an introvert, or this person is an extrovert, or this person is very compliance driven, or this person, rules were made to be broken. Mm-hmm. But as a mortgage loan originator, especially, you kind of need to be like, nah, I'm all of that. And like, well, you're weird now because you're all of that. Yeah. So I came up with this analogy because this was me. And I had a very successful career as a loan originator, and I attribute to this weird quirkiness of my personality. I am the type of person who's going to be at every party. I do have FOMO. I do want to be the center of attention, right? But I'm also extremely compliant driven. So I was the guy in high school with the fake ID who was buying all the beer, but I would also take away your keys, and I came prepared with 3 trash bags to make sure that we picked up after ourselves.
That is weird.
Yes. Yes. So like the one side of me that was just mischievous enough to have the fake ID and to go buy beer and to drink underage. But the other side of me was like, yeah, but we got to do this in a responsible manner.
Oh my God.
But then I'm like, that to me is sometimes a very successful loan officer. How can you go out there and build all these relationships, be so highly competitive that you're willing to run through a brick wall to prove someone that you can. Mm-hmm. But then when you get the opportunity, you're like, all right, well, I got to take that hat off because now I need to put on my accountant hat.
Right.
I need to put on my attorney hat.
Yeah.
But no, it's cool because I've never heard someone else say it. And when you said it, I'm like, yeah, that's so true.
Let me tell you a revelation that Angie and I were talking about the other night that I told her I had after 20-something years in this business. And why I hadn't thought about this earlier, I'll never know. But it goes along with what we're talking about. So you see a lot of loan officers out there, and they try to be everything to everybody, right? So, they get a phone call, and it's an FHA loan, right? And then they get their next phone call, and it's sort of maybe a local bond down payment assistance deal. And then they get a USDA file in, and then they get a VA file in, and then they get somebody that's conventional, and they're like, I don't know what to do with it. They're putting a lot of money down. Yeah, great credit. And so it's like they get all these different customers coming into them, and there's rules and regulations and guidelines and blah, 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 blah. And they're trying to switch these hats on all the time. Like, and if they forget about one thing, the deal crashes and their reputation goes down. And so, but I told Angie, I said, the revelation I had is I've always known that if you try to wear all these hats and you're not gifted at wearing all these hats, you're going to fumble a lot. You're going to be the Cowboys with 14 penalties against the 49ers, okay?
Man, that was rough.
And so, yeah. And so, but if you focus in on certain things, like for example, I did a $100 million mastermind with a group of loan officers all doing over $100 million. 85% of their business was conventional loans because you can scale that business. Because it's the same over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
Right? But if that loan officer is trying to put on all these hats, boy, you really have to be right brain and left brain, right? Like me, you're great. I love your kids. Oh, I got to structure this loan, right? But think about this. This is the revelation. Building that team. Okay, so you're getting those loan officer assistants out there that are trying to help you. And if you're not gifted at all those loan programs, you're relying on them to be gifted on it. And then you're switching hats up on them all the time. Like, oh, that's a USDA. No, that's a bond. No, that's an FHA with a grant. No, that's a conventional. You're creating a disaster unless you have really super talented people on your team. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have like a superstar at every spot, and that's very, very hard to get.
I could not agree more. I get some flack for this. I am a little bipolar when it comes to non-QM lending, right? Like loan officers who want to go out and do, I need the bank statement loan, I need the foreign national loan, I need the debt service loan, and I'm just thinking, gosh, but you don't. Right? But you don't. Like, I get it. We want to be able to offer this creative financing so that we can help promote home ownership in the U.S., et cetera, blah, blah, blah. But as an originator, do I need to be doing that loan? Maybe that product can be offered, but if I can't scale it to doing 5 or 10 or 20 of those a month or a quarter, then am I the best person to be helping this client, or should I maybe punt that to my buddy down the hall because my buddy down the hall isn't necessarily as driven as I am to scale my business? I'll let him handle that loan that I'm only going to get to do once or twice a year. Mm-hmm. I'll let him fumble it. Mm-hmm. And then I get to move on focusing on things that I really do really well. It's interesting for you. You just shared you're doing $100 million mastermind, and the bulk of those people who do $100 million also do 85% as a Fannie Freddie loan.
Yeah, listen,
Right? That's cool.
Yeah, listen, I was the king of carrying other loan officers' business cards with me. So if you came at me with some kind of whacked out loan, and for a part of my career, whacked out loan was an FHA loan. Like, I didn't want anything to do with that. I was like, whoa, man. And so there was a part of my career that I didn't even want those. And so I would hand out the competitors' business cards. I'm like, you should call this person. And people would always say, like, why? That doesn't make sense. How can you be competitive and give that out? And so this is why I would tell them, I'm like, look, we have drilled our process down to wow that client. I know for a fact that every client is worth 5 times the revenue because of our wow process. How we intake the file, how we process it, how we get them at the end with a nice gift, how we follow up with them with newsletters and events and all this kind of stuff. So I know my numbers. I'll get 5 times the referrals and likes hang around likes. So if you're buying an $800,000 house and you're putting down 20%, your friends are in the same category. If you're buying a mobile home on a USDA out in the middle of nowhere with 10-acre tract, you've got friends that want that same thing. So I was able to wow the customers and get my work week down to 40 hours, not working on the weekends, because we were doing those one type of loans and we were excellent at them, and we were delivering a high level of service, and they were telling all their friends because they couldn't get that same level of service at a bank or another lender. So if I loaded the guy down the hallway down with some tough deals and everything, he's in there struggling or whatever, and I'm knocking out 5 more of my favorite clients.
No, I mean, and obviously I love hearing, because you're basically edifying things that I try to teach on this particular show. But it's just me observing, probably like you've observed, how many $100 million producers do you know, right? You probably know 2 dozen, 3 dozen, 4 dozen of them, right? I know a dozen, and I'm not smart, but I'm smart enough to watch what other people do and then follow in their footsteps. And when I'm watching what $100 million producers do, like we just had Molly Nadu on, who's a $100 million producer, I can guarantee you Molly's probably not brokering that condotel loan.
No.
Molly is probably not doing that debt service loan. Right? Because Molly understands, for her to do 40 loans a month every single month, there's a set process that has to go into play. Molly probably buys into the theory of there's enough people willing to do business the way that I do business, that I don't need to do business with those that don't. Right? Like, hey, we can help these people, but we doesn't mean you have to be the one doing the loan. Let's go ahead and I'm going to flip the script on you a little bit, because we are in the beginning of 2022 now, and you do coach loan officers for a living. So
that's a miracle of God right there. When they find that out, I'm probably gonna have to get another job.
What do you what are you and your students, what are y'all gearing up for as you go to tackle 2022? What are you prepping? What are you telling them?
Well, we got to reconnect, excuse me, down in Florida recently, right? I came down there and spoke, and
you spoke at the local MBA luncheon.
Yeah, it was great chicken, by the way. So yeah, and I'll just tell you what I said down there, right? I mean, keeping it simple and getting rid of distractions. So we're building out plans in 12-week runs, and there's a great book called The 12-Week Year. You can go grab it. It's a quick read. You probably knock it out in a weekend. And basically what it says is this: is like, listen, if you break your year down into 12 weeks, and then you start to measure critical activities that will move the needle weekly, you'll reach your goals much faster than somebody that writes out a business plan, excuse me, and throws it in a drawer. And so we built the software around this. And so what we do is, and any loan officer can do this, is I look at the last couple of years of data. Okay. And number one, I'm looking to figure out, like, what's your average loan size?
Okay.
Okay.
It's gone up tremendously. The market's been good to me.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like, nobody got good. Like, you didn't become a great originator because your loan size went up. You did more larger loans because the market went up.
Correct.
Anyway, that's another pet peeve. So, we take the average loan size, and then we look at, like, how much volume do you want to do per year? Okay. So let's say an originator wants to do, $50 million a year, and they're averaging $300,000 per transaction.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't have a calculator, but we would divide that all the way back down.
Yep. Like 150 transactions, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's going to be 150 transactions for the year, whatever that math comes out to be. But I'm going to break it all the way down into how many transactions is that per month. Okay.
So and 12 and a half.
12 and a half. Okay. I love it, man. This guy's like a human calculator.
Well, the 150 is actually off. I think the actual number is probably like 165, but let's just say it's 150 transactions, which is 12 and a half a month.
Okay. And then I'm going to divide that by 4, 4 weeks. I know it's 4.33, but 4 weeks, right? So that's going to be 3 point something loans per week, right? That's the number of loans you need to be locking a rate for. You need to be locking 3 to 4 loans a week on average in order to reach that at the end of the year. I don't want to hear this like, oh, well, I'm waiting for the spring and for it to get really busy, okay? Because that may or may not happen, or you may get a cold, or I don't know what's going to happen. So let's just what do you got to do every week? So let's just say that you got to lock 3.5 loans a week for our example. And you can check our math and comment below if you don't like it. But then I look at the lock ratio to leads created. And I'm talking about credit reports. Like if you pull a lead, I mean, there's tons of leads, right? Just go on to Facebook and say, I got 5,000 friends. That's 5,000 leads. Now I'm talking about somebody you pulled a credit report. They gave you the Social Security number. So I want to know that number annually and then how many locks resulted from that. So what's your percentage? Now, nationally, I can give you the national numbers, 32%.
Okay, so people are locking 32% of the credit apps they pull.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the national percentage, right? So I would take that, say 3, let's just call it 3 loans that you need to lock per week and divide it by your percentage. We'll just use the 0.32. And that's going to be, you need 9 credit reports a week. 9, 10, right?
Yep.
So if you're going to need 9 or 10 credit reports a week, what are you going to do? What are 5 action items that will get you that? Now, I guarantee it's going to fall. The ones that are going to get you that are going to fall in these categories: phone calls, conversations, or meetings.
That's it.
That's where you're going to make your money, right?
That is it.
And so here we just build a plan around that. So we're like, okay, you need 3 locked loans every week. You need to generate 9 credit apps in order to get that. All I want you focused on in your work week is the activities that's going to make that happen, right? So how many conversations do you need to have per week? So they type that in, like 30 conversations, let's just say, right? Then they're going to prospect 2 brand new agents every week that they've never worked with, right? Because you got to be filling that funnel.
Always
fill, all right. They're going to, text 50 agents on Friday that they have weekend coverage, as an example, right? So we build out this plan of measurable action items so that on Fridays we can look at it and go, how many lunches did you go on? Right? Did you go on the 3 you said you would? Did you talk to 30 people this week? Did you text 50 agents for the weekend? Did you, whatever, is the plan. And so then we email it to them on Monday or Sunday night. We email them. We're like, hey, Dustin, here's your action plan for the week. You created it. Go get it. And then on Fridays we text them and saying, hey.
Good. So you are stripping it down, dumbing it down.
Dumbing it down.
So it sounds like in 2022, you and your students are getting back to the basics.
Oh, gosh.
Because no part of that is new.
No.
That's what you were doing in the early 2000s when you were trying to grow the Tim Davis brand in your market, right?
That's right.
I mean, you may have been burning CDs and you might have been, getting creative with it and taking those CDs to get belly to belly and face to face with agents to build a relationship. But I always get baffled when loan officers and the listeners will actually communicate with us, which a lot of times was go to tloponline.com because it's all of our contact information at this point. But before we had the website built, they were hitting me up on LinkedIn or hit me up on Instagram. And it's like, well, Dio, who do I call? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I shouldn't have to answer that for you.
I've heard that question before.
Right? But like, who do I call? I'm like, well, how do you know who to call? I said, well, I'm going to get really stupid on you. How about you get a stack of business cards? I'm going to go old school business cards. You go stand at the Home Depot. Because you know who walks into Home Depot? Homeowners. And if not homeowners, then contractors who are working for homeowners, right? And those contractors want to get paid, and those homeowners probably have equity, and maybe they can tap the equity to pay the contractor.
Golly,
so
man,
at the end of the day, if I didn't know who to call, I didn't know where to start, I'd just get 100 business cards. I'd go to the Home Depot, and I might have to go to a Lowe's and maybe to an Ace Hardware because maybe Home Depot will kick me out for loitering, right? But I can go there and I'm like, hey, my name's Dustin. I do home loans for a living. Let me know if I can help you. If I handed out 100 business cards every single day, I bet I would talk to 2 people a day. I bet I'd pull 1 credit a day. That would get me my 3 locks. So whenever someone's like, I don't think Tim or I or anyone else should have to tell you who to call, because off the top of my head, I can go to Home Depot. Then I'm going to pick up my cell phone. And I'm going to say, hey, how many people are in your cell phone? See all those people right there? They probably need a free mortgage review. Right? Why don't you give them a call and offer them a free mortgage review? Yeah, but I don't know if they own a home. Awesome.
Guess what? They need to buy one.
Yeah, if you can't give them a free mortgage review, I'm like, and then they're like, well, what else? I'm like, you heard of Google? Hey, do this. Google top realtors and insert your city. Then do top realtors insert the city that's adjacent to your city? I'm like,
critical thinking, man.
Right?
That's what you're talking about. Like, I mean, you're right. I mean, like if you got to eat, you got to go beg for business, man. I don't know how else to put it to you, man. There are people in Nashville, Tennessee, at some of these exit ramps with signs in this freezing cold rain right now, working harder than a loan officer is and not making near the amount of money.
And look, in the past 2 years, a loan officer could probably get away with that.
Yeah.
The past 2 years, you get away with it. But in 2022, I don't know if they've seen what the bond market has done today, let alone in the past 3 weeks.
It's gone so far down, it's off the screen. Like I need to.
You literally have to start looking at charts from 2018.
Yeah.
Right? We're looking at charts from 2018 to get an idea of what 2022 is going to look like. So those rates we saw of 2020 and 2021, they're gone. Mm-hmm. Right? So you as a loan officer, it's time to get busy.
So let me tell you a story because I got a buddy of mine and he started cutting hair 20 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever. And so he's like, man, how do I get customers and everything? I'm like, you got to hustle. Like, you got to be hungry. Like, you got to, no matter where you go in life, you need to be the most popular person where you go. So I work at an Orange Theory, even though it doesn't look like it. I go there. Everybody knows what I do. If you want a mortgage loan, you know to call me. Like everybody knows. I've got a big mouth, right? At my dentist office, everybody knows. Now I'm sure I'm not the only mortgage guy that gets his teeth cleaned, but right. I'm the one with the biggest mouth. So, church, you better believe it. Like I volunteered to lead church groups to be visible. Right? You should, if you don't want to be visible in sales, maybe sales isn't right for you.
Correct.
So wherever you go, you need to be the most visible person. Like at the hockey game, we made our dog a cartoon and everything. We got this whole Facebook. She's got more Instagram and Facebook follow and Twitter than I do. I think she's got like 25,000 people that follow her on Twitter or something crazy.
Does Angie keep up with that? Like, do you all consistently post to Instagram?
Yeah,
it's like your thing?
It's like our thing, cool. Right? So we're always posting the dogs or whatever. But I literally had hockey jerseys made because the dog's name is Landry. So if you go look up Landry, you'll find her. And she tweets about Cowboys football, horrible, and Nashville Predators hockey. And so we had jerseys made that says Landry's dad, Landry's mom. And then we made coloring books, Landry loves the Nashville Predators. So it's all these coloring pages about hockey. Because here's the thing, if you want people to like you, you better love on their kids. And if you really want them to like you, you better love on their animals.
Yes.
And if they have kids and animals and you're stuck, love on the animals because they hate the kid half the time, right? So we had these coloring books made. So I'll tweet out like, hey, find Landry's mom, Landry's dad. We're wearing the jersey. Come get 10. We got 10 coloring books. First come, serve, right? And people will come to our section in the hockey arena and talk to us while professional players are out there playing. They'll come and find us. So why do I do it? Build relationships, get you to know me, right? All that kind of stuff. So my buddy who was cutting hair, he had no clients, but he was in a place, a hair salon or whatever you call it, and there was a Home Depot, and they started put a gas station, Home Depot gas station. I don't know if you've ever seen those.
I've not seen a Home Depot gas station.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
So they're trying to get in the gas business, and so what he would do other people, you go into a barbershop or whatever, and they're sitting there on their phone just lazy. He would literally walk over to the gas station and offer to pump people's gas in exchange for giving them his business card if they ever needed a haircut.
Good for him.
Today, if I wanted to get my haircut, both of them, if I wanted to get both my haircut today, I would have to book it out 4 weeks with him. I can't just go over and say, Brian, can you cut my hair today? He's that busy. But he hustled. But he wasn't ashamed to pump gas to get the relationship to cut your hair. People are ashamed, man. They're like, oh, I don't want to. Dude, I'm not ashamed. Listen, if I don't have any loans, I will load up the German Shepherd Puck in the car because everybody loves him. I will load him up in the car. I will go down to Keller Williams with a bow around him and cookies and be like, hey, you want to pet my dog? Just to get an opportunity.
But that's the God's honest truth, though.
It is the God's honest truth.
I mean, you would do that. And here's what I've never understood. And I try to convey this to younger sales professionals. And I say sales professionals because not just loan officers, right? Your buddy, the barber, he's a sales professional.
Yes.
My buddy, the dentist, he was a sales professional before he built his following. Right? My buddy, the attorney, again, until he built his following, his clientele base, he was a salesperson.
Right.
So I would instruct them and remind them, most of us don't need or want any more friends. Right? I don't need any more friends. I can't see the friends I do have.
Right.
Right? I have a wife of 20 years. She's my wife of 20 years because it's working out. So guess what that tells me? I don't need another wife. I don't need a girlfriend. Don't need a boyfriend. Don't need any friends. right? I got a mom and a dad, right? And they're my mom and my dad, and I don't need another mom and dad. So then if I'm going out to meet somebody, then why am I going out to meet them? Probably because there's a business transaction along the way that I want to find out if I can be a part of it.
You're right.
That is it. So for someone not to pick up the phone or not to grab their dog Puck and go to Keller Williams, if you got bills to pay and food to put on the table.
Dude, I'm putting a hat on that dog. I'm telling you right now, I will put a cape on that dog. I will dress that dog up like Frozen, or it don't matter, like whatever it takes. And that dog and me will go to Keller Williams with a box of cookies. And I'll just tell them, I'm like, my pipeline, this is what it looks like. 0. I could use your help.
Yeah.
I've done that before. I've done that before. Like one of the great strategies that not everybody will take, but it really works is to, like, if you got a goal that you're trying to achieve, let's just go this 12-week goal. Let's say that you're trying to knock out $10 million in the first quarter.
Okay.
Take that to your realtor partners and say, I have this goal that I'm trying to achieve, and it's $10 million. And the only way that I'm going to get there is to get your help. Could I get you to help me?
Oh, I love that. I love that. Can I count on you is one, too.
Can I count on you?
Hey, can I count on you? I just need 2 from you, Tim. Just 2.
Yep. Now they buy into your vision, right? And now they're part of the journey. And I've done that so many times with loan officers in coaching where I'm like, just do this, and they'll buy into it. And there's a lot of trepidation, like, oh, but I don't want to seem desperate. I'm like, look, I looked at your pipipeline. You are desperate. Like, you're very desperate. Like,
yeah.
I'm going to set up a GoFundMe page for you if you don't get some loans in.
I was always, especially when I was a younger originator, still trying to make my mark, I always had a competition, right? So, hey, Tim, and I don't care where it was, January, whatever today is, the 20th or 19th or something. Hey, it's January 19th, Tim. I'm in a competition to see how many people I can get pre-approved in January. I'm like 7 short from probably being able to win this. Hey, can I count on you? Right? Who am I in competition with? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The Rock. Like, it doesn't.
Does not matter.
No, I was in competition with myself. I could have been in competition with my buddy. The competition aspect was arbitrary. I just wanted a reason to call, and I have found that people, for the most part, want to help other people. Like, genuinely, as humans, we're good people.
Yeah.
We always talk about the outliers and the 10% that do really bad things, but ultimately the 90% of us, we're good dudes and dudettes that want to look out for each other. And I love that. I love that you're like, hey, look, this is my dog. You want to pet it? This is my pipeline. It's 0, and I could use your help. You down to help me?
Listen, if you don't do anything else, get a dog. That's what we're trying to say.
There we go.
Get a dog.
German Shepherd. And name it after your favorite sport or one of your favorite Dallas Cowboys coaches.
That's right. Exactly.
Puck
Landry and Puck.
Yeah. Landry and Puck. Hey, talk to me about your agent playbook.
Oh, I brought some, but we don't have them here.
Because your agent playbook, I love it as a salesperson because it's a reason to make a phone call. It's a reason to stop by and see somebody.
Well, maybe our guy can get one out of the bag.
Awesome.
It's in the bag right over here, man, by the red velvet chair. It should be in the main pocket, the largest pocket. He's reaching there. It should be purple. Yeah. Yeah, there you go, my man. Thank you.
Thanks, JC. Yeah, this right here.
Yeah.
Right, that right there.
Right.
Agent marketing playbook.
That's right.
Well, for one, I love that it says as seen on NBC, ABC, Fox, and CBS.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
That's just a little cool stuff.
That's pretty cool. Wait, that's an insider trick that we'll have to do a whole other show on.
Yeah, I have to tell you how to get that done.
But no, I like this. Walk me through how you use this and how your LOs use this to promote their business.
So if you roll it like this, and then you just go to agents, give me a deal at work. That's how we use it right there. And so now, listen, you need a foot in the door strategy. Okay. I mean, there's plenty of them out there. Back in our day, we were talking about the Loan Toolbox CDs, when you gave out CDs, and some people watching this video were like, what the hell's a CD? But we would give out these CDs, and it was like our foot in the door strategy to get the relationship started. Okay. So who listens to CDs anymore? Nobody.
No.
Right. So I developed and created the agent marketing playbook. And what it is let's see, this one has over 40-something pages of business plans for real estate agents. So if you go in here and you look at it.
And is this a monthly or quarterly?
It's monthly, man.
Monthly.
And I'll tell you why. It's all intentional, right? So here's monthly inspiration, real estate business tips and tricks, social media tips for real estate agents, monthly scripts. We have a script vault for agents that are in here, so they get scripts out of here, the business planning for success, all that kind of stuff. It's all written every month. And it's branded to you, obviously. You can see the cartoon on it. It's very intentional because people go, oh, that's interesting. What is it? You know? They're probably not going to say that if my ugly mug's on it, like just a regular picture. I'm like, oh, he's just trying to be arrogant. But the cartoon with the hat for January, they're like, oh, that's cool. What is it? So it's a foot in the door strategy. And so let's just say that, you know, you're a great agent and I'm trying to prospect you. And I build up the courage to contact you, right? I'm like, hey, you know, Dustin, I've been watching your career grow and stuff. And I know, you know, agents like yourself are probably always looking for a slight competitive edge, be it a script, a social media post, whatever that might be. I'm actually the local publisher. And that's really important. You say it that way.
Yeah.
It's a positioning statement. I'm the local publisher of a magazine called Agent Marketing Playbook. And I invest in this personally. And then I take my investment and offer it to you as a free monthly subscription. Would you like to get a free monthly subscription from me?
Sure, Tim, I'd love to.
100%. You're always going to get somebody to say yes, right? So I'm going to take down your home address.
Okay.
Very important, right? Because everybody's going to the mailbox, picking up the gas, electric bill. It's 3 times what it should be, and they're all mad and everything. But then this shows up, and they're happy, okay? And so they get the magazine at home. Now I'm basically in your home, right? Very small chance you're going to toss this.
No.
Okay? And now I have basically, you earned the right. You've given me permission to call you and market to you every month. Every month.
So as a loan originator, I could become the publisher for my local market, and I could use the Agent Marketing Playbook as my reason to call.
Correct.
Like people are like, whoa, no, Dio, why do I call a realtor? I don't know what to say. I'm like, well, for one, in the world I come from, there's 3 reasons why you ever call a realtor: A, to ask for a lead; to B, invite them to an event; or C, to ask them to meet with you. Like those are the 3 reasons. But this actually gives me a 4th.
Yeah.
Right. Now, it gives me a 4th just to let them know, hey, I have this magazine. I'm the local publisher, and I would like to offer you a free annual subscription. Are you cool with that? Right? And then, oh, by the way, maybe I want to invite them to my happy hour. Oh, by the way, I want to invite them to my lunch and learn. Oh, by the way, maybe you want to ask them, is there anything that currently was turned down by one of your lenders that you want me to take a look at? Right? I could throw that ask in there. I have them on the phone, but But this gave me a reason to pick up the phone. And then you're saying, I'm going to mail it. The trick is to mail it to their home address. Home address. That way they see it. And now they've basically invited me into their house, and they get to see my cartoon picture and my name.
Yeah.
Every single day, every single week.
And it'll be different every month. So February will have hearts on it, you know, for Valentine's Day. March will be more themed out for basketball and or, you know, whatever we're doing then. So yeah, I mean, it's a reason to call, but if you don't build a relationship, it's not going to work, right?
Okay.
I mean, you got to work on building the relationship. You got to care about the individual. Like, hey, you know, Dustin, I saw on page 6 this month there was some social media tips. You've been talking about social media. I don't know if you checked that out. By the way, how are the kids?
Nice. I
right?
like how you did that.
And so you use it as a positioning tool, because what other loan officer has their own magazine, right? And then you use it as a point of entry, a foot in the door, right? And then you go back and you build a relationship, and you have that constant communication. And on top of it, look, you can pull tips out of this and post on social media and do videos out of it. I mean, it's just a complete plan.
Well, to say many loan officers would benefit by their own magazine's contents.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
you need to read it.
Yes. No, but here's what I like about being coached is that I can then take what I'm being coached and share it with my realtor partners.
Yeah.
Right, I can share it because the same principles apply to almost all industries, especially industries that are in the same ecosystem as a realtor and an LO. Right, so anything that my coach is teaching me, I can go teach to my realtors, and now I'm bringing them value. Now I'm building a relationship.
Yep.
So yes, so that I didn't have you on today to let's pimp out Agent Marketing Playbook, but I like it.
I mean, it's
I
cool.
like it. It is cool. If someone wanted more information on that, how would they find out more information?
They could just email me, timdavis@theoriginatorsguide.com.
Okay.
Yeah,
What is the
or message me
Originator's
on
Guide?
Facebook.
What is the Originator's Guide?
Yeah, you know, that's my little mini podcast. We were talking about that earlier. We had you on today.
Yes, I got to be a guest on your podcast. And now, don't you have a magazine that's going to be coming out too?
Yeah, so theoriginatorsguide.com is our website for our magazine.
Okay.
And our daily podcast, it's a tip in under 3 minutes or less. So I call it micro podcasting. And so we are publishing a magazine. You actually have an article coming out.
Dude, the 12-week challenge.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be so good. So if you want to get, like years ago, there was a magazine called Mortgage Originator Magazine, and I was subscribed to it. It was like my Bible for the business. And there's nothing like that exists. So I was like, I'm gonna reinvent that. I'm gonna bring that back. And so the Originator's Guide is going to be a magazine. It's written by originators for originators, articles like what you've got in there. So if you want to know about it, just go to theoriginatorsguide.com and get on our email list so that when the magazine publishes, you can get you a copy.
Awesome. Parting shots. All right.
No, okay.
Parting shots.
Okay.
What, I mean, looking back in your career, like what are some of the things that you're grateful that you stumbled upon and mastered? And what are some things that you wish it didn't take you so long to learn? Like, I'm trying to think of, like, what's some good advice that we could drop right now to someone who is tuning in, and maybe they're at a point in their career where it's a pivotal moment, or maybe at the beginning of their career and they're getting ready to launch. And
I mean, listen, I'm going to tell you something. It may sound cheesy, and I don't really care. But relationships with you and Mike, and the relationships I built in this business, I wouldn't trade those for anything. And those came from my willingness to go to seminars and go events. That's how I met people like you. That by far and away, hands down, number one thing in this business.
Yeah, that you're grateful you did. You're grateful that early on, either you figured out or someone encouraged you to get out and network within your community, which your community was the mortgage community.
Yeah, so I went to
10 conferences and okay, cool.
Yeah, so I went to all those conferences, and today I have enormously great relationships as a result of people I met at those conferences. So yeah, that's number one, is relationships. And what was the other question?
Well, how about this one? What would you go and tell your 17-year-old self? Tim Davis, senior in high school, getting ready to graduate. That they don't teach certain things in high school. What do you wish that, or what would you tell yourself? I don't care what do you wish was taught to you. More importantly, what would you tell yourself?
I mean, my first probably 5 years in this business, I was blowing money like some kind of music artist.
Okay.
Because you were making good money.
Yep.
And, I came from nothing, so I was blowing it. So one of my pieces of advice, and I actually coach loan officers this today, I'm like, look, get out of debt.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, like you can have a house payment and that's it. If you have anything beyond that, you're crazy.
I love that one. But let's live below your means.
Yeah. Live like you're broke.
Yes.
It's okay.
Well, and guess what? You're not, last time I checked, you're not a heart surgeon and I'm not a brain surgeon. And although this career gives us an opportunity to earn at the same level as a heart surgeon or a brain surgeon, we don't have necessarily that same future longevity that those cats do in those professions.
Right. Yep.
Right. So you may have made $600,000 last year.
You might make $6,000 this year.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. But are you going to make it in 2027?
Yeah.
Right. My heart surgeon friend can basically tell me, yeah, in fact, I'll probably make 900.
Yeah, because they're making
right?
more hearts to do.
Yeah. But for people like you and I think that's always sage advice is you said get out of debt, right? Because you were out blowing money.
Yeah, I was blowing it.
And for me, I learned 2008 taught me how to live below my means. And I've stayed that course for going on 14 years, and I see how it's paying off in spades. Then I can continue to live below my means so that, and Dave Ramsey says that I'm not a huge Ramsey-ite, but I do like some of the principles that he stands up for. But I think his saying is something along the lines of live like no other so you can live like no other. He's talking about living below your means while you're working so that when you go to retire, you can retire at a much higher quality of life than your peers are because they weren't willing to live below their means. So
yeah, the last 2 years were a gift. You made money and you got good the last 2 years because the Federal Reserve helped you. And
there you go.
And so you're right. So relationships and just practical financial advice. I mean, you're giving people financial advice all day long. Look at these debt ratios you're doing for loans for people. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, look, I'll leave everybody with this. I think we're in January. I think January and February and some of the cold state months are going to lend you need to be a mortgage advisor and help people restructure some of their finances because inflation ain't going away right now. And just in the city I live in out of Nashville, somebody posted on the Facebook page out there that they were blown away about how expensive their electric bill was.
Wow.
So I think people need you need a good mortgage advisor that can sit down and help them restructure while you're working your purchase money business. For God's sakes, don't forsake the agents. But while you're working that, you go back to your clients and see if you can take some of the equity that they've gained through this marketplace and give them some kind of restructure of their payments. It would be really important to some of these families right now.
Yeah, that is changing lives.
Yeah.
And that is why I love this industry. That's why I love having you on today, because you change lives, right? You change the lives of loan officers so they can go change the lives of realtors and their clients.
Yeah, the ripple effect.
The ripple effect. Tim Davis, thank you so much for your time.
Dude, you're the man, dude. I can't believe you had me on with.
No, I love this. I wish we were in more cities together, because we do this like once a quarter, you and I.
Maybe
right?
we just go on a tour, like some of those hosts, they go on like tours and stuff, like
Hey,
comedy tours. The Mortgage Comedy Act.
John Coleman says if you put it out in the universe, it will happen. So Tim, you put it out there.
If you want the Mortgage Comedy Act to come to your city,
hit us up. Hit us up. He's Tim Davis. I'm Dustin Owen. You have tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast. That's all the time we have for you today, but we will catch you on the next episode. Peace. See you.